Hey everybody, this is Storytime with Sean, episode 2. I wrote another story for you guys to listen to, and I hope you enjoy it. This is Jon Bovi, written by me and read by me. It's hard to say what makes a trend come back long after it was dead, but in the far distant future, the American 1980s had come back in a big way. The colors, the style, the music, everything. Granted, when something becomes trendy in the year 3969, it only becomes a thing that celebrities and young rich people get into, because they have the time and energy to stay focused on what is incredibly hip. This isn't to say that individuals can't make their own style and become their own kind of hip, just that whatever is the new fad is only discovered by people in movies, or those with families that own entire planets. Coincidentally, the return of the 1980s trend coincided with the return of a long-extinct Earth animal, the cow. The reason the cow came back was because people wanted hamburgers. And a meal being made from a once-extinct animal is just as expensive as you could imagine. So a lot of people were looking to cash in on that sweet, beefy money. One scientist in particular decided it would be a good idea to capitalize on the beef and the 80s craze by combining the two into one unholy creation. Splicing the DNA of a cow and that of the 80s superstar Jon Bon Jovi, he created Jon Bovi. Sadly, DNA splicing and genetic engineering took just about the same amount of time it took to have everyone who was interested in those two trends move on to the next big thing. This left the scientists fairly broke, with a cow that only wanted to rock to try to figure out what to do with their lives. Would they travel the universe rocking out and playing small venues until they became the next rock hit? Would they become outlaws and fight for your right to rock? Well, neither, actually. The scientists decided to put all his anger about being broke onto Jon Bovi, and then they had a fight and went their separate ways. Jon Bovi did go on to rock at some local bars, trying to make it on his own. The raw ability of Bon Jovi pumping through his vein, and the emotional trauma of his upbringing made for some really sweet power ballads, which eventually drew more and more attention to him, turning Bovi into somewhat a successful act. When the scientist caught word of this, he made it his mission to hunt Bovi down. One night, Jon Bovi was playing his hit song, My Dad is a Mad Scientist, but He's Still My Dad, for a packed bar. The scientist was there. He got up on a table, shot his laser pistol into the air, silencing the whole room. You ruined my life, cow! Now I'll make you pay! Dead, no, Bovi started as the scientist shot in the air a few more times. Luckily for Bovi, an aging rock star had come to the show that night. Hey, kid, the rocker grumbled. Take this jet. You're gonna be big one day. The old man threw Bovi a set of keys and gave him the horns. Bovi ran through the back door and out into the parking lot, trying to figure out which ship he was given the keys to. When he saw the ship that was painted up like a nebula and designed to look like the sweetest guitar you've ever seen, he knew he found the right one. Bovi jumped into the spaceship just as the scientist burst out the door. Get back here, cow! Bovi put the ship in gear and blasted off. As the ship exited the atmosphere, Bovi thought to himself, Is a father's love that hard to get? Should I just become my own cow and not worry about his approval? Growing up is hard, especially when you're a genetic experiment. Bovi shed a single tear as he looked out the window, and part of his face was covered by the reflection of the planet below. Like, those shots of people looking out the window at Earth when they're on the moon in movies. Yeah, you know how it looks. Needless to say, it was a real emotional moment. But inspiration had struck, and Bovi quickly began to write down lyrics and jam out some tasty licks. This would be it. This would be his first album, and he was gonna make it big. Luckily for him, the ship was actually set on autopilot to the biggest record studio in the universe, Intergalactic Records. When the ship landed, Bovi met with the recording executive and played a sweet track off his album. He was instantly signed to a 4-record contract. In just the amount of time that you think it takes to record and release a record, Jon Bovi had released his first album, Growing Up Ain't Easy, in parentheses, for a genetic experiment. It went sextuple platinum. Soon he was playing sold-out venues, signing autographs, trashing hotel rooms, and living the rock star life. One night, at a totally awesome concert, he broke it down with his slow jam. I'm my own cow now, but I still need your love. All the ladies in the audience knew that despite his wild rock star ways, they could tame him and be the one to give him their love. Too bad they never actually listened to or found the subtleties and metaphors in the lyrics, because that song was actually about his dad, who just so happened to be in the audience that night. The scientist started to cry. He called out, "My son, I'm sorry." The bros around him knew just what had to be done. They picked him up and started to surf him towards the stage. Bovi finished the song and saw his dad closing in. "Son, I'm sorry. I should have been a better father to you. I didn't know what I was doing, and I see my mistake now." "Dad, you were never there for me. I had such a hard life. I never knew what to do," Bovi called back, and the audience became totally silent. "I know. I was never a father to you. I was never there. I did some bad things. But I hope you can forgive me. And I hope it's not too late to start being your dad now." The audience let out a collective "aww" and wept a little bit for the beautiful father-son cow moment. "Of course, Dad," Bovi said as he held out his arms for a hug. The two hugged, and the crowd cheered. Bovi went on to play the best live show in the history of live shows. The spectacle was so impressive, it blew up a nearby moon by the sheer force of rock. Father and son were back together, and both their lives were turning out great. Be sure to catch their new reality show, Rock Life, My Son is a Cow, where you can find out all that for yourself, premiering this fall. The end. Thank you for listening to that story. That was Jon Bovi. That's the end of this. So it's the end of Storytime with Sean, episode 2. I hope you guys are enjoying it. Hope you liked the first one. Hope you like this one. I'm currently kind of thinking that this is going to be a bi-weekly thing. If you guys just want to keep hearing stories that I write and come up with all on my own, that's fine. If you have an idea of maybe something you want to see me write, that's fine. You can send me those too. And it would mean a lot to me if you guys enjoy this and listen to it all the way, that if you would please share it with your friends, tell somebody else about it, think that they might enjoy it. Please, share on Facebook and Twitter or wherever the hell else you guys are looking at this and listening to it. It would mean a lot to me. Also help me out with, liking and subscribing and commenting and all these kind of YouTube-y crap that you probably don't like to hear if you're on YouTube, but it's the truth and it would be helpful to me. But otherwise, just want to thank you guys for listening, and it's just nice that you did that. And with that, that's pretty much all there is to this. So expect to see another episode in 2 weeks. We'll see what happens. And thank you for listening one last time. And I hope you guys continue to listen in the future.